Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of The Indie Show. You guys, I'm really excited today. I've got Baird Hall, who's the founder of Wave. And if you guys are in the podcasting space, if you follow like on Instagram, like creatives who do podcasting, you've probably seen Baird's work. You've probably seen people who are using wave.co. It's a really cool technology. Today, we're going to get into Baird's product, wave.co. We're also going to talk about the business side of things. And so I'm really excited. Before we get started, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more about Baird, and then he will share kind of his own story of everything. So Baird is the founder of Wave, an online marketing tool that makes it easy to turn audio clips into videos optimized for social media. If you guys are confused on what that means, don't worry. We're actually going to show you kind of their product in just a little bit. And so Wave helps podcasters, bloggers, radio shows, and other marketers repurpose their audio on social media to drive more engagement and reach. And Baird, like I said, if people go and they look at people who are podcasting right now, it seems to me like Wave is really well known right now. So it's really cool.
It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun to see it grow over the last year. It's a fairly new business. We launched the first kind of public version January 1st of this year. So we haven't even fully been out there for a full year yet. And we've got a few thousand podcasters and marketers that have signed up, and a lot of those are using our premium accounts as well. So it's a lot of fun. And we've also seen some big name podcasters signing up, which has always kind of been, I'm a huge fan of podcasting, and our team is too. And so when we see some of these big podcasts sign up, that we can be a little starstruck sometimes. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a real learning experience. I'm still, really just in my first year and a half of entrepreneurship. So, and especially in the tech side, it's been fun, and we're learning and growing, and it's been a blast.
That's awesome. So Baird, what was before Wave for you?
So I've been working in tech for about 8 years, and I was working for a startup here in Charleston. I was one of the early employees, and I was there for about 4 years, and it got acquired, and it was kind of a good time to always follow my dream of wanting to create my own tech product. And it's always been something that I've wanted to do. I've always felt like I had that creative urge, even though I never felt creative because I was never good at like drawing or, art, being an artist. It's like this, it's a very different type of creativity that entrepreneurship allows you to do. So it's funny too, my wife, I have to give her a lot of credit because we got married, and 3 weeks later I decided I wanted to start my own company, and she had never heard anything about this before.
Wow.
So it was quite the shift. But so I left my job, and my business partner and I, who's also here in Charleston, we started our first version of Wave, which was a very different product. And we built a social audio network that allowed people to join into chat rooms, and instead of sharing text, they were able to share audio messages. So they could set up chat rooms, a lot of it with sports fans that wanted to talk about their favorite team, politics, listeners of radio shows. And it was really just an idea that my business partner and I had always had, that we really wanted people to engage more around audio content. We had a lot of fun. That was most of 2016 that we built that product, but we made a very fatal mistake in entrepreneurship. We were building what we thought would be the coolest thing in the world, and we never asked, would anybody pay for this? And while we had thousands of happy users and cool partnerships that looked great on our marketing collateral, we never got a business model around it. So that was definitely challenging, and it's sometimes embarrassing to say, but I hear so many other people have the same problem, that not focusing on that, really narrow down on that problem that you're solving. It's easy to get sidetracked with all the different ideas and things. But luckily, this was just in November so exactly a year ago, we got to a point where we had hundreds of hours of audio content sitting on our server. And we were thinking, like, if we could just get these short audio clips on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, we could really market our product and what we do better. And that's really the problem that we started to solve, and is what turned into what Wave is today. which is the ability to combine images and text with audio to create short little video files to put on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So that's kind of the long story as short as I can make it. And that was kind of awesome. The term pivot that everybody hears. That was really our big pivot move. And
there's so much to unpack there. For anybody who's watching that isn't familiar with you guys, I just want to dive into exactly what it looks like. So hey to Nick Rishwain and anybody else that's watching live. Good to see you guys. If you're doing any type of show, whether it's audio or video, you have to check this out. It's really cool. So here's their website. Let me post this here. So here it is. And Baird, I can just click on any of these. These are recent ones that have entered into your Instagram feed, right?
Yeah, these are the last 4 posts from our Instagram feed. So basically what you're seeing here, and really what we do and what Wave does, is if you have a piece of audio content that you want to put on social media, in the past, you had to share a link and make people click on it to go to your website and then click on it there. And that's great for long form content. But a lot of podcasters and a lot of other marketers really want to create shorter form versions of that content, or maybe even clip it down into a nice bite-sized segment. And Wave does that. It'll clip it down to a segment, and then you can pick an image, and then you'll also see these animations if you want to click on that second. One was one of our favorite podcasts, which is Rich Takes on Sports, and he interviews really successful athletes.
Awesome.
And let me think about this, the way to put it, but I had a performance coach, a mental performance coach that I worked with for several years. That really, the one thing that stood out to me was to help block doubtful thoughts during moments of, when you really need to get the best performance out of your body. And that's a real, that can be relevant in all works of life. Whether you can't sleep or you're nervous about doing a presentation. If you can stop those negative thoughts from entering your mind, it does wonders. And I still have to remind myself constantly to do that. And I try to instill that in my kids. But that was a really important lesson for me. Let me think about this.
So this is that's a great example of how Wave is used. Somebody did, and Rich does an hour-long episode that has a lot of amazing information with this really successful professional cycler, but he clipped out kind of one segment that will really appeal to a wider group of people. They talked about doubt and confidence issues and how to overcome that. And so he shares those on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and people that haven't listened to his podcast can get a quick taste of it, understand who the guest is and what they're talking about. And it encourages people to get engaged, but also to click through to the full content and listen to the full podcast episode. So podcasting clips like that is definitely probably the most common use for Wave.
That's so cool. All right, I'm going to play this third one because I know you guys recently came out with the circle wavelength.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different animations to pick from, which is important because we want to be able to integrate it well with your existing artwork, your design, and you can see this example when you click on it. It's actually an animation that goes around the logo of the I think it's a music podcast.
Yep. Yeah. You mind if I play it?
Yeah, go for it.
Welcome, everybody, to my music podcast. I say it's a music podcast. Last week I talked about my dinner, a roast dinner to be. It's mainly a music podcast, hence the title, Mainly Music. And a lot of the music on this podcast is featured from my playlist on Spotify, which you can go and listen to as well. I mean, if you like what I've played on this, even if you don't, go and listen to it just because why not? It's called Mainly Music on Spotify as well. It's got loads of stuff on there.
So I think this is a good example of kind of what we're all trying to do as marketers. We're trying to build relationships with people without being face to face with them. Like that's what we're trying to accomplish through our digital marketing. And for a podcaster, if you see the music podcast on iTunes, you can see a description about it. You can read about it. You can read the reviews. But the important thing, and really what we're all about, is that intimacy of audio.
Yeah.
And what that does when you hear somebody's voice, like you can obviously tell this guy's funny, he's sarcastic, he's witty, and certain people are going to be drawn to that. So, and that's really what we're so passionate about here at Wave is, it's really helping marketers connect with their audience through audio content, and making it visual as well, so it stands out on social media. But my business partner says this a lot. The eyes have eyelids, the ears don't have lids on them. When your ear is open, it's a direct connection to your brain, and you really just can connect with somebody. So anyway, I could ramble about that forever.
No,
I'm really
dude, I
passionate.
think that's spot on. I feel like there's something so intimate about audio,
Mm-hmm.
and even like the movie Her, like gets at
Yes.
part of it.
Yeah.
And there are some people who listen to this show and they're like, Joey, just letting you know, like I'll turn this on and walk away from it. Like I don't actually watch the show, but I listen to it. And you see it in like Alexa and Google Home. I think it's only going to get more important. And so I think you guys building a video that's really just highlighting the audio is a very cool thing to do.
Yep.
And it's so nice for a business like mine, where even if you are comfortable with doing more off the cuff video, this kind of an option where you can just, like you said, like find your favorite headshot, plug that in, and go forward with audio. It's really nice way of doing it without the overhead.
Yeah. And that's a good point too. So, most of our customers are podcasters. Most of our users are podcasters, but we also have a lot of people that, they aren't doing a full podcast, because for any of you all that are thinking about starting a podcast, it's a lot of work, and you really need to be dedicated. And, you don't want to be the person that, starts 5 or 6 and then kind of fades off. But Wave is a nice kind of lower barrier to entry. You can record, 1, 2, 3 minutes on your own. And, like you said, combine it with a headshot or some artwork. You can create that in Canva or really any free image editing software. And you can create video content, start getting it on Instagram and Facebook. And that's also another point with the trend. While, podcasting obviously is blowing up as well, the current state of social media marketing is all visual. It is all based on catching people's attention visually. So you really need to make sure you're doing that first, which is really important, which is why we focus on uploading really high quality artwork and making sure that the animations are high quality and catch people's attention.
I think it's awesome. You mentioned Instagram, and based on what I've seen from you guys, it seems like, at least right now, Instagram is really where your customers are leaning the product. So let me show everybody your Instagram feed, which mostly you guys promoting what your users are doing. Right?
Yep. And I think that's a marketing tactic that I've learned long ago. And we really try to not talk about how awesome and cool Wave is, but talk about how awesome our users are and how they're using the product to get their message out. So you can see the majority of what's done is, with headshots, and like actually, the more personality you can add to your pictures and videos, the better. But you can see there's a lot of different designs and a lot of people talking about, different topics. I think that's what surprised me most about this business is just the wide variety of topics that podcasts cover. I mean, there's a podcast for everything out there. So that's a great place to go see what other people are creating. It's Instagram. Our username is GetWave, GetWavve. So you can check that out. Awesome.
And, I just think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. As you and I have talked about, Baird, there are a lot of viewers of this show who don't have podcasts. And you and I talked a little bit about how non-podcasters are using this technology in pretty creative and powerful ways. Yeah, so we'll have one that comes up that I think is really interesting is authors and bloggers that are writing content. Instagram is a great example. You can't post a blog on Instagram. That takes a few minutes to read. However, you can post a minute of audio, or in our case, actually posting it as video, and you can get a lot of content across in a 1-minute audio clip and actually, connect with your audience. So that's a great place to do it. We have some authors that will actually read portions of maybe their ebook or their digital book that they've released, and they'll talk about that. Idea.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and it stands out, and it's something that's different, and people look at it and say, wait, what is this? This isn't just a picture. What's going on? And they'll click on it and they'll actually listen to the content. Another one that I think is really cool is we have some photographers that are taking some beautiful, amazing pictures. The most recent one was I don't know what in photography you call it, kind of a campaign. He was kind of doing a series of elderly people that have Alzheimer's, and he was taking these pictures, but then was using Wave to put some context behind it, to talk about the family and the time they spent together doing the interview. So it just adds that next level of depth to the photo when, you know, somebody can click on it and kind of hear the story behind it.
That's awesome. And you and I have talked before about, you know, how you can take an actual video and kind of downsize it into an audio clip. Because again, it's, you know, I've tried it and I've done it, but if I were to try and take, you know, a clip from this video and then put that clip of video into Facebook or Instagram, it would look a lot more polished if I just grabbed the audio from that and then have a more style headshot to go through. And I don't know if you have a recommendation for this, but something that I've used that's been helpful, it's an app called Snagit.
I haven't used Snagit.
It's a really great application that just lets you do a video screenshot, and it also captures the audio out from it.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
And so that's a really easy way. My buddy Mitch Jackson showed it to me, another attorney. That's a great way if you want to take like a minute of a longer video, but you can, you know, I don't know if we have the time today to get into how it works once you log in, but you can take that video, upload it to you guys, and it just takes the audio.
So we don't support video uploads, but there are, if you just get on Google and type in pull audio from video file, there are so many quick, easy web applications where you can upload your MP4 and it'll spit out an audio file. Nice. But with Wave, you'll actually need to upload the MP3 or M4, any audio file first. So it's usually, that could be something that you record on your phone too, which is, I think, an interesting use case where we have one marketer, he kind of does like a daily minute. Every morning when he drives to work, he kind of records a minute and then he'll turn it into a video and share it on Facebook and Instagram. So that's kind of another,
and then
just like sends it to himself and or uploads it to his computer and then uses Wave to turn it in. And also something else that's really important to note is that Wave does support audio recording directly in the application. So you can hit record directly within Wave. So you don't even really have to do that through the phone. So that's another great way. If you don't have a podcast, you don't have an audio file, that's okay. You can just record directly through your web browser.
Do you have any experience with, I'll say podcasters in quotes for this, but who are using Anchor to make a podcast? And then
we have, so Anchor has a similar feature to what we do. We do have a few Anchor, it's different. It's kind of, you're more templated and all of the Anchor videos look the same. So we do have a few Anchor users that will take the next step and go into Wave and create the videos. It seems like Anchor is a really great marketing tool, and it's a great kind of way to get started podcasting. Of course, most people need to either have Anchor or, you know, click on the link to go listen to the audio. So it's very different. Definitely play with it before you make a decision to dive into it. But I know it got popular last year. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't seen it really take hold in our podcasting communities.
No, I think I've seen it kind of gain popularity in waves in different industries over the past couple of years. The feature that I actually haven't even explored their clip version that would be similar to yours, but they do have a new feature where you can, for free, take your Anchor episode and put it into like iTunes podcasts.
Yeah, so that's a nice feature for people that are just getting started. And I think it's more shorter form because you record through your phone, so you're not going to want to do a whole hour that way, most likely. But yeah, that's kind of a good jumping off point if somebody's thinking about getting started with podcasting.
So I'm going to ask a question that a couple of people have come to me asking about Wave. Is an app on the horizon anytime soon?
Not yet, no. So for those that aren't familiar with building technology, mobile apps are a lot of work. And so we've just been focusing on the web version so far. But we do have some great features that make it easy to get your video that you create on the web version to your phone. So you can text the video to yourself.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it sends you an email, so you can open the email from your phone and download directly. So there's some easy ways to get the video to your mobile device, but that's not something we're not working on it quite yet, but it's definitely something we will look at.
Awesome. Real quick, I wanted to highlight that Brooke is in the room. Brooke has a business that's built around Soundwave Art.
Oh, so cool. Oh, I've seen her on Instagram.
Yeah, I think I might have connected the two of you guys.
You did, yeah.
Beautiful. She takes the idea of, let's say, a song that's like the first dance song at your wedding. She pulls the actual sound wave and creates like an artistic work of art based on that. Just really, really cool usage. Brooke, I'm glad that you made it
cool.
because you guys need to connect more.
We definitely do.
No, the whole like Soundwave as art thing is a really, really cool space. So Baird, let's talk more about the business side of things.
Sure.
It's always great talking to another business owner who gets that reality of pivoting and things like that.
Yeah.
What have been some of like your accomplishments and like hard lessons learned in 2017?
For this year, so our first accomplishment was actually releasing the product, which was it was about a 2-3 month product development cycle just to get our first version out there. And it's with tech products, it's difficult because they're very difficult to create, and it's hard to change them after you've built them. So you have to spend a lot of time talking to people and making sure you're building the right features. So we built our first few versions, and I think we've done a really good job of not rushing things and making sure that we listen to what our users want. And I think another lesson on the entrepreneurial side is when you first get started, it's really easy to say yes to everything. And when people ask for something, you say, yes, I can do that. Yes, we can do that. But a lot of times we had to kind of learn how to scale that back a little bit, say no in certain areas, and make sure that we're going in a certain direction and, focusing on a certain market that we know we can really help, because it's easy to just get spread too thin and, wind up not making the progress that you want. So that was good. And in July, our big milestone was in July, we launched our first full service version of the product where people could sign up, they could pay, they could build their designs and do everything that they wanted. It took us half the year to really get to that point. And since then, we've been adding between like 70 and 100 customers a month. So it's been, that was really when we started feeling the validation that, okay, people are signing up, they're doing it all on their own, and it's all inbound as well. So that was a big milestone. And we've had a couple other, I don't know if I can discuss the names, but we've had at least one big public media company sign up with like an enterprise account. That was really exciting too, because they have like 7 different media brands, and they create like between 30 and 40 videos a day. So they needed their own custom server. And that was fun to kind of work with a much larger media group, which was that was another big milestone as well.
Congrats.
It was cool.
That's awesome. So did you guys, remind me, did the business start as a partnership?
No. So that's another good story too, that I think you'll probably find interesting. So last year we started, so my business partner is a lawyer as well. He's a former attorney. So when we first started the business, we made the mistake of constantly shifting our legal entity based on what we thought the business was going to be, not what the business is today. So we started as an LLC, and then we realized, we're going to go raise money. We need to convert to a C Corp. So we did that, and that was last year with the product that didn't work out. And we actually wound up selling that product to a third party, and then starting this version of Wave, and realized that we don't need to be a C Corp because we're not raising any funds, and had to switch back to an LLC. We had to dissolve that C Corp, reincorporate, or get all set up as an LLC. And it was just, I wish I had known you before that so I could have asked some questions, because we just didn't, we were all over the place.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a hard lesson to learn. People come to me all the time saying, Joey, should my business be an LLC, a C Corp, or an S Corp? Yeah. And I'm like, well, S Corp is an entirely different breed that we can talk about later, but C Corp and LLC I think 90% of small businesses should start as an LLC.
Yep.
Just because, like you said, there are only a couple of reasons why a small business would really want to become a corporation. One of the big ones being if you're wanting investor funding.
Yeah.
Those investors usually like to see a corporation, and they usually like to see a Delaware corporation.
Mm-hmm. And we made the mistake of, we wanted to raise money, and so we converted early. We went ahead and said, well, we're going to need to convert to a Delaware C corp, but then we never raised money and got stuck with that, and that's a lot more expensive than an LLC. So it was.
And you, a lot of people get confused because they hear that Delaware is this magical place to form a business in.
Yeah.
But you will likely still have to pay taxes in that state, in your home state, if you're not in Delaware. And yeah, I mean, I could talk about that kind of stuff for all day. So, I mean, while we're talking legal, and you don't have to say anything that would be like a trade secret or whatever, but and what's your partner's name again?
Nick.
With Nick being a lawyer, are there certain legal things that either you have done outside of the business formation or that you plan on doing soon?
From the legal side, no. So we went through the trademarking process last year, but then when the business kind of changed, that didn't really take place anymore. It wasn't really necessary. So one tough thing about software is, like on the patent side, for example, there's really not, especially like for the type of software that we build that is kind of used a little bit more in the consumer standpoint, we don't have any like very technical new systems that we've built that are extremely novel. So there's not a lot to protect on the IP side, which I think is really interesting in software and why it's so competitive. You know, you could go build another version of Facebook and call it something different, and there's nothing that stops you from doing it. So we don't have no real plans on the legal side, other than we're glad now that we're an LLC and we kind of control our own destiny and don't have to raise money.
Well, I'll tell you what, I tell businesses all the time, like, until your business is at a revenue generating point where it's successful, don't worry about using the law to shield your business. Really lean on your ability to sell and brand and build human connections. And you guys have done an amazing job of that.
Thank
I
you.
mean, before we even connected the way that we have to set up this interview, I remember I heard about Wave, I signed up, and within a couple of days, you guys like flagged one of my first uses of your product and was like, this is cool, nice to meet you. You're doing a really awesome job connecting with your customers. And
thank you. We appreciate that, because we really, this might be an interesting story. This was, from a marketing standpoint, really the moment that changed the way I think about it. I went to the radio show conference in Nashville. That wasn't really important, but Dave Ramsey spoke. And he gave this, I didn't know, he's such a brilliant marketer, but I think there's a lot of lessons from this. He talked about being a guide, not a hero, where a lot of us, we want to talk about how great we are and how great our business is or how cool our product is, when he kind of flipped that upside down and said, no, you're just the guide that helps your customers become the hero. Like, you're not the hero, they are. You go tell their story. Go talk about how awesome, you know, your big client is and their big accomplishments. And it's really changed everything. And when I keep that in mind, every tweet that I put out, every blog post that I write, I think of how can I incorporate the stories of our users and how cool and interesting and authentic they are, as opposed to talking about Wave. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful, because all of us as entrepreneurs have to market ourselves or our business. And it's a lot easier when you take the pressure off yourself and say, you know what, I'm going to go tell the story of my customers. And it helps a lot.
That's a really good point. So no, I love that. And you're doing a really good job. In terms of, like, I think one of the things that a lot of consumers and business owners who aren't the type of business owner that you are don't really understand is what's the reality like of running a business with customers like the ones that you have, where they pay monthly, they're relying on this product to use. How do you keep them liking the product, and what do you do when someone complains about something not working right?
So those are great questions. And for a SaaS business, which is software as a service, meaning you sign up and use it monthly, for those that aren't familiar, there's a lot of challenges with retention and engagement because people sign up, they get started, and then they don't come back for a month or whatever it may be. So there's a couple things that we do to really try and make sure that A, our customers are set up for success, and B, they get the support that they need. And the first thing you'll notice when you come to our website, or anytime you take an action with our product, you get an email or a chat support message that says, like, we are here to help. Please let us know. And we take support very seriously. We're very responsive. And I think a lot of people, one thing, again, back to just entrepreneurship in general, sometimes your toughest clients become your biggest advocates later down the road. Like, the people that, complain or say they want this and they want this done differently, if you just help them and be authentic and like build a relationship and help them solve their problems, those are the people that are going to be your biggest brand ambassadors down the road. So we take support very seriously. And it's really, for us, has also been a big operational challenge of just, what happens when somebody signs up? How many days later they get an email, or, based on which tasks they've completed in the app, which email are we going to send them? So it's been a lot of behind the scenes trial and error to get that tuned up, and still a work in progress, as it always should be.
Yeah, it's just really interesting. So at this point, are you guys, I was just talking to another attorney friend of mine this morning about this concept of there being like the before unit of your job. Like, what do you do to get people to become your customers?
Yep.
There's the during unit, and then there's the after unit. So if they ever buy from you, what do you do to retain them? Do you guys sometimes feel like the regular business owner, where like you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants and doing all of the things, or do you guys have processes that you're following when customer comes in?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I would say, so we've focused on it in phases. The first thing that we obviously really focused on was our acquisition, inbound, getting traffic, getting people to sign up and converting. But that was a big lesson to learn, that we focused so much on the outbound, or, the inbound and outbound sales and marketing channels, that when people signed up, we realized we hadn't spent any time on the during of, keeping people engaged. So we actually had a couple tough months where we had people showing up and signing up and paying, but then they were, canceling down the road, or really just forgetting about the product in general. And it was because we realized, don't have any processes in place to keep them engaged. So what we do now is, if you've used Wave and you haven't signed in X days, we changed it around a little bit. You get an email that says, hey, check out our Instagram feed and see what other people are creating, like get some ideas, or have you seen this new feature? So that was definitely a big lesson learned, that I wish I had gone backwards, that I wish I had thought about, like, okay, how do we keep customers retained initially before we actually go get 100 of them? But it's hard to do that when you're focused, you're getting started and it's new, and you're like, your goal is to just get some customers.
No, I hear you. A couple of weeks ago, my dad invited me to a dinner with a good friend of his who has connections to like radio. And he was like, hey, let me know when you're ready and I'll like plug you on the radio show in your business. And I was like, oh, I can't deal with that kind of inbound right now. I'll let you know when I am. But no, that makes so much sense. So let's see, what time is it now? We've got a couple of minutes left until we wrap up. Baird, are there any apps or tips that you would recommend to other business owners outside of Wave that you guys have used? Like, for instance, what's the instant messenger app that you guys use?
We used to use Drift, which I highly recommend. And we use their free version of Drift for a long time. It's a little, chat integration on your website, and you need to do it the right way so you don't intrude on people's experience. But allowing, when somebody comes to their website and they want to chat with somebody, they should have that option. And that's some of our best customers we've built a relationship directly off the bat with the chat feature. So We don't use Drift any longer for, we love their product and completely endorse it. But, and it's great for if you don't have a software product behind the scenes. Drift is really great for that. So, definitely check out Drift. I think, we've used MailChimp for our email marketing, which has been, really helpful. I love, just from an organizational standpoint, I love Trello. It, allowed you to just staying organized as an entrepreneur is the toughest. I mean, it's one of the most difficult things because you get pulled in so many different directions, but to have a visual storyboard of, okay, here are my main goals and here's how I'm going to break those down to specific tasks and check them off and kind of move that board around has been really helpful for me on a daily basis.
Yeah, I use Trello as well. I don't use it for like the goal tasks. That's a cool thing that I have to talk with you more about. Maybe I'll ask to do like a screen call with you or something. But no, I'm loving Trello the more that I'm using it, because it's such a flexible app to do whatever.
Sorry, I'm just looking at my phone to see what apps I have installed that I've been using quite a bit. We love analytics tools, which is kind of like more on the product side, but we really like to geek out on how many, what are people clicking on after they click on this? What do they do next? So a lot of those, we really like, doing that. But man, if you're not, my favorite app is my podcast app. If you're not listening to podcasts, like whatever you focus on, your business or whatever you're trying to improve in your life, there's a podcast for it somewhere. So I start every day. I listen to the first thing I do in the morning from like 8:30 to 9:30 with my coffee. And when everything's quiet, I put a podcast on and I just focus on learning something. And I think that's
podcasts.
So Tim, that's another one that I have so many, I should just pull it up. So Tim Ferriss is one of my favorites. He's, one of the best. I really love anybody out there starting tech products. The Startup Chat is a great one with, Heaton Shaw and Stella Efti. A16Z is a venture capital firm out of California, but they do a very different podcast where they just talk about technology and trends, and it is super, super interesting. And then I love Bill Simmons. That's my like non-self-improving, just fun podcast. But he actually, every other Friday, he does a Smart Guy Friday where he brings in like a CEO of a company and they just talk about all kinds of stuff. Yeah. It's really interesting. He's the best podcaster in the game, I think. So those are a few that I really like to listen to.
I think I'm a little weird because I got into podcasts because I was driving from college back home a lot, and I had these 5-6 hour spans, and I wanted to listen to something, but at the time I never thought I would run my own business.
Yeah.
And so I listened to like comedy podcasts.
Yeah.
Like funny interview podcasts. And so like Pete Holmes, You Made It Weird. A couple other funny podcasts, the Dear Hank and John show.
Oh yeah. I've heard of that. Yeah.
So I started on kind of like the non-businessy side, and I've been slowly transitioning over to more business podcasts, but I'm with you.
I love
starting mornings with them.
Yeah, and I love any podcast that interviews, like comedy shows or just variety shows that'll interview business people in a non-business way. I think that's always the most interesting to like kind of get behind the scenes on their personality and how they work and things like that.
Yeah, well, I might get that full list from you and the apps, and we can plug that into both the description on Facebook and wherever else this video ends up going.
Yeah.
But Baird, this was amazing, man. Thank you for coming
on.
Thank you for your product. I know a lot of podcasters that I follow have really been using the heck out of it and loving it. And I'm excited. I know that I've got a couple of ideas in mind of how I can use it in the future outside of podcasting. And I'm excited to let you know how that goes, because I think that
definitely
it's a very cool kind of wrinkle of what you can do on the internet that you're exploring, and very, very cool stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And for anybody that's watched and listened, we would love to connect with you. We are really easy to get in touch with. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you can find us, or you can just go to our website and use our little chat widget too, and we'll talk to you through that. But we're always open to ideas too. We love getting feedback and suggestions, and we love that. We'd love to connect with anyone and everyone.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Baird.
Cool.
Thanks everybody for watching live, watching the recording on Facebook, YouTube, wherever. And you guys have a great week and happy holidays. See ya.